So you have what we call the sky view. I call this sometimes the skybox, or in our way of talking about connecting with the principle of heaven, that you can see the lay of the land, the whole situation. And so your decisions that you make are from a much bigger perspective and include a lot more possibilities.
Right.
So what we're doing is we're trying to take that sky view of this company, Strawberry Moons Media, and bring it all the way down to here so that you can flip a channel at home.
Right.
And come and join us, Strawberry Moons Media. And this is how Disney was created. This is how Warner Brothers was created. Everybody thinks, oh, these are giant monoliths. No, it's always people with inspirations, and they just follow their heart and their mind,
Right.
and just gather. So we're trying to make a spiritual Warner Brothers. That's what I'm trying to tell people.
Right.
Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to the Creativity, Spirituality, and Making a Buck podcast with David Nichtern on the Be Here Now network. My name is Brett Kane, and I'll be your host for this shared journey we're about to take. So on behalf of Be Here Now and Dharma Moon, we sincerely hope that this podcast finds you well and in good spirits. In case you're new to the CSM Podcast, this is a show investigating how we can best integrate our creative expression and spiritual practice within the context of our livelihood so that all three are working in harmony. This exploration is led by our fearless leader, David Nichtern, who is joined by guests who are masterfully embodying and expressing these qualities in their own lives. Today's episode is wholly unique in that regard because it's actually focused on David's newest business venture, Strawberry Moons Media. This offers us a rare chance to see behind the scenes of the CSM approach applied to a living, breathing, and growing project. This is interesting not only because the project idea is great, but it also allows us to study how these principles come together in the real world. But you know what the old adage says, it takes a village to create a new media company. Wait, no, that's not right. I think you get the point though, and that's why in this episode, David is joined by his friend and the co-founder of Strawberry Moons Media, Debbie Nutley. In case you're not hip to the rising stars from the world of children's books, Debbie is the award-winning author of the Pengwee book series, which is dedicated to teaching kids mindfulness and social-emotional skills. She's also a seasoned business executive and attorney who left a C-suite career to pursue purpose-driven and creative endeavors. So if you want to check out some of Debbie's work while you listen to this conversation, head on over to debbienutleyauthor.com. Beyond that, the focus of today's episode, Strawberry Moons Media, is also live right now. I'm serious. I know it's crazy. You can find that over on YouTube at Strawberry Moons Media, where they have 3 channels divided up between their respective topics: meditainment, mindful living, and for kids. So that's what we're going to be talking about today on the CSM podcast. But beyond that, Dharma Moon's fall 100-hour mindfulness meditation teacher training begins on October 10th. This is a great program, not only if you want to share the deep and profound practice of mindfulness meditation, but it's also good for just deepening your own relationship to the practice as well. You know what they say, the best way to learn something is to teach it. There's also another year-long Buddhist studies course with Ethan Nichtern, which is kicking off on January 27th. For those who want to take the deep dive into the world of Buddhist practice. Both of these, plus many more offerings, can be found over at dharmamoon.com. And last, but certainly not least, we want to extend a very heartfelt thank you to the folks over at the Be Here Now network for helping us with the production and distribution of this podcast. Such an incredible opportunity to be a part of their extended podcast family. So if you enjoy this show, it would be an easy recommendation to go check out their other programs over at BeHereNowNetwork.com. So that's it for me, everybody. We are now moving on to episode 59 of the Creativity, Spirituality, and Making a Buck podcast with David Nichtern and very special guest, Debbie Nutley. Thank you so much to everybody, and good luck out there.
Debbie, what are we doing here? What have we been up to?
We have been up to a lot. I think it's been about a year since since that first text exchange talking about this.
So for those of you out there, we're creating an entire new media company called Strawberry Moons Media that is going to combine wisdom, traditions, and entertainment, loosely speaking. And say a little bit more about what's going on.
And it's going to be for all ages.
So we have 3 channels, right? What are the 3 channels?
The 3 well, all 3 of them have a foundation of mindfulness, meditation, or wisdom traditions.
Okay.
The first one, Mindful Living, has practical tips and tools about those areas. You'll find a lot of David on there, other Dharma Moon teachers. So we have 3 channels. One is primarily educational. One is for kids. That's both educational and entertaining. Has my project, Pengwee and Ruby, adorable, mindful, heart-centered penguins. And the third channel is our most unique channel and our crown jewel, in my opinion, which is the Meditainment, MEDI-tainment. And that anyone could watch those and enjoy it, whether or not you had any familiarity with Buddhism, mindfulness, meditation, or anything like that. But you could also learn from it while you're watching these entertaining stories and music. And on that is Zach Mooney's dream. So I think you should talk about Zach Mooney's dream for a minute.
Well, Zach Mooney's dream is the fruition of my entire life, spanning between being a Buddhist teacher for 45, 50 years and being in the music business for the same exact time, having had 2 very full careers that are now folding into one. And the Zach Mooney's dream is an animated bluegrass Buddhist musical. It was writing itself. I just got out of the way. And we've got maybe 8 or 10 songs already written. The whole plot is created, the whole scenario and script. And now we're just filling them out with animated, videos, portions. And we're working with an animator you found who's going to come on our podcast soon, Jonathan Eden from South Park, right? Do you want to say a little bit about Jonathan?
Yeah. So Jonathan, talk about 10 roles or synchronicity. Jonathan responded to an ad I posted in CalArts that I thought was only going to be viewed by students. But Jonathan, as an alum, responded to the ad. And I initially decided to meet with him just to get his tips on how do I pick an animator. I couldn't imagine he would be interested in my project. But he really liked the project. He liked the premise of mindfulness for kids. He was expecting his first baby. I think that had something to do with it. And, he's been working with both of us on our projects.
And his baby's now, the baby's 1 year old now, right?
Yeah. Arthur just turned 1.
So that means we've been working with him for more than a year already.
Yeah.
So look, everybody, here's the deal. Look at me and Debbie here. We're grown-ups. We've been around. Debbie was a high-level international business attorney for a major insurance company. I have had record labels, hit records, movie scores, Grammy nominations, taught Buddhism for 40 years. What the hell are we doing creating a new product that's politically game? So here's what we're doing. We're trying to blend our aspiration for creating a kind of healthy but fun lifestyle, authentic lifestyle, using the Buddhist teachings as a kind of thread that goes through the cloth. And we're trying to make some money, which we think we can do because we've done that before. We know how to work that part of the system. But also help our content creators make some money so that everybody can keep doing what they're doing, not so we can gouge or manipulate the world. And we're trying to do some honest, decent, and holistically, livelihood involved. And then what's the third thing?
We want to have fun. That's a requirement. We also want to be a home for content creators. I think that's important. We want to be a community and home for content creators who have similar, inspirations that we do, similar desires to express themselves in a creative way. And it's hard to put it all together, to put your ideas together, to execute, to have the resources to be able to produce them. So we want to be a platform and a home for content creators who maybe couldn't make it on their own, but they could come here and be a part of a community and be successful with the rest of us.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I had a whole stream of memories of that. I have been doing this in a variety of ways to create a landing strip for the next generation.
Yeah.
And part of encouragement for me was I had somebody do that for me when I was just coming into the creative world. Was Lenny Waronker, who is about to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the famous producer.
Really?
Took me and my song Midnight at the Oasis, which was just a little baby creation that I made on a waterbed in somebody's house, and actually turned it into a global phenomenon. To this day, decades later, it's still that. And he gave me my shot. I started my record labels to do that. And one of my record labels, 5 Points Records, had Lana Del Rey signed to it in the early days. So it was trying to look for talented people who you could give the next step up to. And we're trying to do that with our content creators and give them a fair shake.
Yeah.
But that's really great that you mentioned that. It's an important part of it too.
Definitely. And just a little Lana Del Rey story. I live in Chicago, right across from Grant Park, which has Lollapalooza every year.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, Lana Del Rey was on stage right outside my window, and I got my binoculars and watched and listened to her perform at Lollapalooza. It was awesome.
God, from your balcony?
Right out my window. Yes.
Your middle name Rapunzel? And that's like, you have that whole park in front of you, and that park is going to be the scene of Chicago's whatever.
Chicago. It's all of Chicago.
Wow, incredible. So you have what we call the sky view in the Buddhist world. You have the open, I call this sometimes the skybox, or in our way of talking about it is connecting with the principle of heaven, that you can see the lay of the land, the whole situation. Yeah. And so your decisions that you make are from a much bigger perspective and include a lot more possibilities.
Right.
What we're doing is we're trying to take that sky view of this company, Strawberry Moons Media, and bring it all the way down to here so they can flip a channel at home.
Right.
And come and join us, Strawberry Moons Media. And, this is how Disney was created. This is how Warner Brothers was created. Everybody thinks, these are giant monoliths. No, it's always people with inspirations, and they just follow their heart and their mind. Right. And gather. So we're trying to make a spiritual Warner Brothers. That's what I'm trying to tell people.
Right. I like that.
Yeah. So,
and I think, we both have experience of, having the sky view, knowing kind of the vision and the heaven, and then bringing it down to earth and executing. But I think what's nice about our working relationship is I think you're more comfortable sort of flexing towards the heaven and the sky. Even though you can bring it down and execute, I'm a little bit more comfortable executing, even though I can flex to the sky. And so I think together, it makes a really good working relationship for the company.
Yeah. Yeah, it's balanced. And we're just so you all know out there, we're always looking for talented people.
Oh, yeah.
And found some.
Yeah.
You found Jonathan Eden and his wife, Mia, who we should mention at this point.
Yeah.
And it just turned out that Mia is also a choreographer. So she's doing the movement for my animated musical. Mm-hmm. And part of the story of Zach Mooney's dream, which we're putting up on these channels, is that he is a young American guy from Kentucky, and he finds his teacher in New York, who's a Chinese master. It's modeled after my own teacher, Sat Han. And she happened to have her grandmother's a Tai Chi master.
Yeah, that was so cool.
And so she did all the movement right, which is very hard to get. Most people would not be able to understand it. So then we also had Philip Anderson, I think, who's worth mentioning at this point and bringing into this conversation at some point. Yeah. Philip is also a student who took our Dharma Moon teacher training program, which you took and which a lot of the people have taken. And he worked for Quincy Jones until obviously Quincy passed away this year. I don't know if you saw that in the Emmys. Quincy, they had the Who's Been Here.
Oh, I recorded it. I haven't watched it yet.
Quincy left this year, and a lot of people left. So Philip Anderson is a great musician, very talented, a graduate of our meditation program, and just started creating video content off of the Dharma talks that I and others had given. Right. And I think we're creating a whole new genre of some bite-sized pieces that somebody can check out, and in 3 or 4 minutes get a very sort of tangible sense of what meditation practice is about, what the Buddhist teachings are, but without feeling like you're going to the dentist.
Right. We don't want that.
You are going to the dentist where you're getting some nitrous oxide with it.
Right. I wanted to add that Mia, in addition to choreographing the lighthouse in Jack Mooney's dream, she choreographed the Jiggly Wiggly dance that Ruby dances. And she took the time to choreograph a dance that could be animated well, but also that a little kid could copy. So she was really sweet in taking the time to do that. So she wanted to design something that she knew a child would be able to copy and repeat.
Wow, that just made me feel something there.
Yeah.
Because, we played, do you remember we played the Jiggly Wiggly dance in Japan?
Yeah, we did.
So, we have a whole nother company called True Nature in Japan, and we have retreats there and stuff. And we were there. Debbie came along as a guest to the retreat last year. And one of the young Japanese women brought her kid along. And kid was having a little hard time, keeping themselves entertained. And you gave them that little video of Ruby's Jiggly Wiggly dance.
Yeah.
And it's about a minute or two long, right?
Yeah, a minute, yeah.
And she just kept hitting, was it he or she?
He.
He just kept hitting play over and over again.
Right. Even though the video is in English and the little boy spoke Japanese, it didn't make a difference.
And by the way, we're going to have our Japanese friends participate in our Strawberry Moons Medium because they're just going to subtitle all the stuff in Japanese.
Right. We've already started the playlist. We have a Japanese playlist.
Yeah, which is far out if you think about it. And we have a flower arranging playlist, which is Joe, who's another person from Dharma Moon's ecosystem, feng shui expert,
right.
how you can use space awareness and feng shui and flower arranging is to create atmosphere in your world that has a kind of, creates a texture of a little bit more settled and kind of spacious existence.
Yeah, I've actually gotten a couple of, I got a plant and a flower based upon what I learned from Angie. I did.
So also, tell everybody a little more about Pengwee and Ruby. Who are these penguins? How did they get into your house?
Oh, Pengwee and Ruby. Well, the whole reason why I decided to publish children's books about mindfulness, and Pengwee and Ruby are these adorably mindful, heart-centered penguins, and they're best friends. The whole reason why I did it was because I just thought it would be great for kids to learn about mindfulness at a young age, that it would be a better world if every kid knew about this stuff. Right. And I adore penguins. I watched this documentary called The March of the Penguins, and I loved how well they cared for their chicks. And that was my motivation for picking penguins.
Is that right? They have a special...
Oh my goodness. They go through
the parents?
They face such harsh conditions to keep the egg protected because the egg has to stay on their foot because if it rolls onto the ice, the egg dies. So for months, the two parents have to protect that egg on their feet and they transfer it from one parent to the other so it won't roll on the ice. And then one has to travel like 50 miles to get food and come back. It's an amazing story, but they love their children and they will do anything to protect their children. And that just grabbed my heart, right?
I mean, we've got to cover that part of this story. Talk about the parents and loving kindness and
yes.
stuff.
Oh, yes.
We
Yeah.
talk in
I
Buddhism
have
about
some
loving
ideas for
kindness.
loving kindness.
Ooh.
I want to sort of have Pengwee and Ruby on some graphics and have a child be able to draw who they want to extend their wishes to, including themselves and their family.
Whoa.
Anybody. So Pengwee and Ruby, Pengwee tends to be a little anxious.
Yeah.
He's really sweet. He's really quiet and sensitive and a little on the anxious side. Ruby is really outgoing. She wants to be a singer and a dancer. But she gets stage fright. She gets a little anxiety too. She gets a little overwhelmed with herself because she gets caught up in herself, and Pengwee sort of balances her, and she balances Pengwee. And they're really really sweet together.
And did their parents know each other?
No, Pengwee has a mom who we met in the first story, but we don't know much about Ruby. And generally, we're probably going to just learn about a whole village of penguins. There might be a grandma. There might be Hatch, who's a lot younger. He's got the beginner's mind.
So, yeah, I mean, for me, these are great for kids, but I have always loved stuff that's good for the whole family.
Yeah.
Like The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
It's a profound tale in itself. And I remember watching as a kid, like thinking, this is like amazing.
Right.
And seeing it now, and then it spawns other stories, like Wicked coming out of it.
Right.
So I always, when we first started talking about Pengwee and Ruby, I told you, I thought, well, this could be a whole universe, right? The whole ecosystem. And so I think what we're trying to do with Strawberry Moon's media is create a network of ecosystems born out of this sort of creative but uplifted kind of cultural vibe. And we think, right, that other people are going to tune in and dig it.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So
I think I'd like a little bit more about Zach Mooney's dream, though, because I do have a question.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I remember when you sent it to me, it was just this package of, you sent me all the songs and the script. And I was pretty wowed by the entirety of it. And I'm just wondering, how is it that you sit down and compose music? How does that
Wow.
happen?
Okay, so people have been asking me that lately for some reason. Well, periodically they do.
Yeah.
And what's funny about music is it's a universal language.
Yeah.
Immediately, if you want to communicate, at least globally, I have a feeling it's more than just planet Earth, that there's music everywhere. And there's something called the music of the spheres, with Gurdjieff and other great teachers have tuned into, and relationships between the planets being musical and all this kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
A lot about that. But music is a language, so you have to learn how to speak it and understand it. But it's also an intuitive language. So like mantra, you don't really have to understand mantras to
Right.
And it's also a direct feed into the emotional body. It can bypass your intellect. So even a great way to get to people who are too stuck in their heads.
Yes.
And so music can be part of spiritual rituals.
Yeah.
Be part of secular rituals. And so we talk sometimes about sacred music, which is like what I do with Krishna Das, the chanting. But music itself seems to be something that bypasses, and for me, definitely bypasses what I would call my intellect.
Yeah. I agree. I have the same experience.
But I'm even creating it, I don't know where it came from.
Oh.
It bypasses on the way in, but also on the way out.
That is so interesting.
So I, for example, have dreamed entire songs.
Really?
Literally dreamed them and wrote them down when I woke up. So it was there in some form. And in the dream, it's like it already exists. And in the waking state, I'm just trying to remember it.
Well, where do you think it comes from?
Well,
You must have an idea.
I'm thinking a lot about nature lately.
Yeah.
And where does that come from? Who invented bark?
Right.
Why does a tree have bark? It's like, oh, I think that's a good idea. I need to,
Yeah.
So a lot of things are way before the conceptual level of our minds. Music is a bridge into that world, without a doubt.
Okay.
So I would say that when I'm writing music, I'm trying to remember what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
More often than not. Oh, yeah, it goes like that, right? Like you learned a song when you were younger and you're trying to remember it.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, it gets crafty and you try to construct a bridge or something like that. You go, okay, I need a new section here.
Yeah.
But most of it is dream work. And it's Paul Simon did a whole new record recently that he dreamed every single song in the record. And you heard about it? Yeah.
You know what I had right here?
Paul Simon?
I have a dream catcher.
Oh, yeah. Sathan has one of those.
Yeah.
Well, that's a shamanic thing. Yeah, I've got a dream catcher in my head, and body. So, how sometimes the dream is just a sort of rendering of a kind of symbolic way of you processing unconscious stuff. And then sometimes you're tapping in.
Yeah.
So music, I used to have a lot of dental work done, and I took nitrous oxide. So I don't want to advocate drugs to anybody particularly, but it does something interesting. They call it laughing gas because it lightens you up. But I didn't laugh. It didn't make me laugh. I became like an oracle on nitrous oxide. I just could get incoming signals, information, because you're blocking that whole part. You're meant to do that.
Right.
You're meant to be an oracle. You're meant to be intuitive. You're meant to be, a Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
So these drugs, they just block the kind of hyper-conceptualized, superimposed quality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so in that state, there was no music. It was very interesting.
Oh, wow.
It was music, but there was no part of the music.
Yeah.
It's just purely like the space was already set up that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's funny. I mean, the music at a certain point, you drop it away, and now you're into a non-dual space. There's no music.
Mm-hmm.
It's going from one place to another place. The non-dual space it just is what it is, and you're only representing it to communicate to other people. Otherwise,
right. It's a language. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, folks, that's a wrap on the 59th episode of the CSM Podcast. We'd like to offer a deep bow of gratitude to Debbie for joining us for this chat and her continued enthusiasm for Strawberry Moons Media. It literally couldn't happen without her, and it's very exciting to see this project unfold. If you want to offer your support to this endeavor, check it out over on YouTube, give it a subscribe, check out some clips, and share it with your friends and family. The same could be said for this show as well. Podcasts thrive when listeners engage, so thank you so much for your attention and energy. And of course, last but not least, thank you to the folks over at the Be Here Now Network. They all set up the infrastructure so that these teachings and worldviews can proliferate with ease. Who knows where we'd be without them? With all that said, we'll catch you next time. Stay safe out there.